Ohio State Sports Report. My name's Justin, your host, and as always, I'm with my good friend Chris.
What's up, everybody?
So, we had an exciting week in sports last week for the New York area. The Islanders swept the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Yankees found their pitching while the Mets are having pitching problems. And the Jets and Giants have been working diligently to get ready for the NFL draft this year. Chris, how do you feel about the Yankees after last week?
After last week, they're pretty much getting rid of all my doubts
Right.
that I've had for the past couple of weeks. You know, James Paxton, he's doing great for them. That was a great acquisition.
CC
Sabathia, awesome for his first 2 games.
I want to say awesome, but you know what? He's been able to get the job done for the most part.
And that's what they need. They need a solid starting rotation, you know?
He's played in 2 games so far. His first game back was against the White Sox. Only 5 innings. But you know what happened in that game? He had 1 hit, no walks, no earned runs, no home runs.
3 strikeouts.
3 strikeouts, which is good.
That's good for the first game back.
I don't need 15 strikeouts. All I need for you to do is not give up any big plays or big runs, and that's exactly what he did.
Yeah.
And in his next game against the Royals, he had same thing again. 5 innings pitch, 3 hits, allowed 1 run, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts. But you know what? I only see 1 run. That for me is good enough for the Yankees.
Yeah, they need a solid starter, and that's CeCe. They can trust him going in and out every week.
He's that veteran they wanted.
Yeah, that middle of the rotation player that they need. You know, they got James Paxton, which is looking out to be a great pickup.
Yeah, he's finally getting it going. Back-to-back 12 strikeout games. He's actually the first Yankee in history, Yankee history, with back-to-back 12 strikeout games in 0 runs.
See, that's amazing. You know, your first year with the team
Since 1912.
You're already making history for them. I don't know what else I could say about this starting rotation that's starting to be. I mean, they did release Gio Gonzalez today.
Well, not so much release. He
opted out
of his contract.
That's a little bit of a sting for them. You know, and that's he was always a reliable, you know.
I always wondered why they never brought him up, especially with the way the starting pitching began the season.
I think Brian Cashman is trying to let their players play before they bring anybody up.
Okay.
You know, they're still waiting on their ace, Severino, to come back, which is going to take a little bit longer. Tanaka, he's decent as always.
Yeah.
Can always trust him, sometimes. Who else? CeCe's doing good, James Paxton's doing good, and so is Harp. Harp is doing good, they brought him back. JJ, yeah.
Well, they had a pretty good week last week. They swept Boston in a 2-game series.
That's what they need to do, you know. It's even though the Rays are right now on top of the division, it's still probably at the end of the season it'll be the Red Sox, Yankees battling for first. But the Rays can always surprise people. It could be a 3-way race.
Well, you said at the beginning of the season, that you thought the Rays were going to be good this year.
And they still are, you know. They're up, I think, 3 games on the Yankees right now, or 2.5.
That's big.
That's a big lead, even though it's so early into the season. It's still pretty big, you know, because then the Yankees and Boston are going to have to start chasing them if they keep up with it.
So, we already talked about the pitchers the Yankees have. Now, what about the rest of the players, the rest of the team?
You know, that's where the Yankees need to start worrying. You know, they just lost Judge to a significant oblique injury, which is...
No timetable. They're saying reevaluate him in 7 weeks. So
who
knows?
That's a long time.
Going into the season, I said the Yankees can be a 100-win team if everyone stayed healthy, and for the most part, the Judge stayed healthy. And guess what? That has not happened. 13 players in the IL. That leads the MLB.
That's a scary thing, you know. They need this team to stay healthy all year round. They want to be a significant team.
Injuries do happen. It's just the fact that they've just built up and compiled right at the very beginning of the season right now. The first month.
That hurts, but like you said, it's the first month of the season still, so they have their time for players to heal up still and come back after All-Star break and make that big push.
Well, you know who's taking the best opportunity with all these injuries right now? Clint Frazier.
He is a surprise.
Yeah, well, he's not really
not a surprise, but he's taking advantage of the opportunity.
Exactly. And a lot of Yankee fans want to trade this guy this offseason.
And it's a good thing Brian Cashman doesn't listen to the fans that often.
Because you know what? When your 3 starting outfielders go down within the first month and you need outfielders, you got Clint freaking Frazier. And you know what? He's fielding great. I'm sorry, not great. He's fielding good, but he's hitting very, very good. 3.39, 3.58, 6.61, 9 runs, 21 hits, 6 home runs, 17 RBIs.
Right now
He's helps the Yankees a lot. And they got DJ LeMahieu as well, helping them out with the hitting. So Yankees have essentially a Triple-A squad that's turning out every day, and they have an all-star squad on the IL.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun to see if they can get down and dirty and dogfight their way out of this injury plague and manage to stay in it for everyone to get back healthy in a month or so. And really, they can just take off from there.
And then just think, when this all-star team comes off the IL,
yeah,
how scary they're going to be.
exactly.
If they can stay healthy, though.
It's funny, because last year we had the Mets with the injury bugs, and now this year we have the Yankees with the injury bugs,
starting, yeah.
and the Mets are staying healthy for the most part.
Not this past week. We've lost a lot of...
We lost Cano. Cano had a hand injury. He's out of tonight's lineup. He got hit by a pitch yesterday, even though the ump called it a strike, and he ended up striking out. But DeGrom actually missed his last start because of a balking elbow, they were saying, and he was scheduled for an MRI. They then canceled it, and then he threw a bullpen. And to my surprise, breaking news today, he did have the MRI and showed no damage and no problem with his elbow whatsoever. So it's good news.
That's good news for the Mets.
My thing is, like, your star player, your Cy Young pitcher, who you just signed to a massive contract extension, has potentially an elbow injury. And you're not sure if you're going to give him an MRI. It's first yes, then it's no. Then you have him pitch a bullpen, then you get him an MRI. You get him an MRI as soon as possible.
Yeah.
That's a giant bag of money right there you're toying with. If he goes down, the Mets are screwed. Because right now...
Kiss the season goodbye if he goes down.
I know. Because right now, you got Syndergaard, who is currently having a Harvey-esque season. He's playing very overrated right now. And he had Matz, who in his last start couldn't even get 1 out, allowed 8 runs, 4 hits, a walk, and 2 home runs in the first inning without even getting it out.
That was terrible. The Mets really need to address the struggling starting rotation.
Well, guess what? Gio Gonzalez is available.
Well, that's another pitcher that they should probably add.
And you know what? If they're concerned about the money, Gio Gonzalez would just sign a minor league contract with the Yankees. He can get it for cheap. I just don't understand it. You got Keuchel out there, and now Gio Gonzalez. How do you not sign at least one of these guys this week?
I don't know. It's not per se. It's not Van Wagner's problem, or it is his problem. It's not his fault that he's not signing. We all know whose fault it is that we're not signing these players to contracts. It's the Wilpons.
Yeah, the big man's up top.
It's just we need to address it. If the Wilpons really want to see this team make a World Series push, they need to sign Keuchel, they need to sign Kimbrel, and they need to sign Gonzalez.
Never in my life, within the last 2-3 years, I would have saw the Mets starting pitching be the problem.
The problem right now, yeah. That if you asked me 2-3 years ago if our starting rotation would have been the problem, I would have called you crazy.
Right?
The Mets, that's what everybody thinks of the Mets, is the starting rotation, of how good this team can be with the rotation. And right now, that rotation is being very disappointing. They need to do something, whether it's mix up the lineup in the rotation or
move
add
Vargas,
somebody else.
Bullpen, add someone.
Get rid of Vargas. Something. They need to do something to fix this. It is only the first month. The players will hopefully get into a groove later on in the season, but still, Matz is struggling.
Well, actually, I'm going to stop right there, Matz. I just checked the score of tonight's game. They're playing the Phillies. Through 3 innings, Matz only let up 1 run, 1 walk, and so far has 4 strikeouts. So far it's a good bounce back game for
That's not bad for this Monday game.
Yeah.
But we need to see that consistently. If they don't do that, if he
that's
doesn't
the problem
do that
with him and Wheeler.
Him and Wheeler, they need to put out solid games decently. They need to make it at least 5-6 innings. They can't just go barely an inning and not strike out a person.
Right?
That's unacceptable for this team.
You know what's not shocking about the Mets? That piss poor bullpen. it's been a disaster to date. I will say it's getting better. Kesselman has doing work to get better. His ERA
has gone down
from 10 to an 8, around there. He's allowed, I think, only one hit or one run over his last 3 innings pitched, so he's getting there. Gagnon, I don't even know how to say his last name. Gano. He came in relief from that, and he did pretty well up until like the last inning, the 6th, around like 4 or 5 innings in, he started getting tired, left some big hits. And Luis Adelin's doing the same exact thing as Gesselman. He's lowering his ERA. He's not doing so bad. So there are some diamonds in the rough there.
There are, but that's just
not shiny diamonds, but
that's
you have
still,
some.
that's still not enough for us Mets fans. We want to see this bullpen fixed. Maybe signed, like we said earlier and last week, signed Kimbrel. Have a 3-headed monster back there. Have Kimbrel, have Familia, and to set up Diaz.
I want to say Familia's a monster, but he's one of the best ones we got.
And that's surprising because I can never watch Familia pitch.
I got a stomach ache every time.
As soon as Familia comes out of the bullpen, I switch the game because I know something's going to happen. He's going to lose us the game. But he's not doing that too often this season.
He had a rough start to the season, but he's getting it together now.
But he is, I'm happy with that. If he can prove me wrong this season, I'll be happy. Diaz is a monster. He's...
Agreed. When he gets to save opportunities.
Best part of the bullpen. No, because
we blow
the
wins.
Not only does our bullpen blow the saves for us, not Diaz, everybody else.
Yeah.
Callaway just hasn't figured out that good,
rhythm.
The
chemistry right now, what to go with.
To place him, put him in games,
Well, that was a shaky week for the Mets last week.
They
finished 2-5 on the week, lost a 3-game series to Philadelphia and St. Louis.
We can't afford these losses. These are series that we need to win.
Big win. 'Cause, I feel like Philadelphia, that's the division right there. And St. Louis, that could be the wild card as well.
Mm-hmm. We need to win these these series if we want to really be considered contenders.
Either win the series and sweep bad teams. Like the Marlins, we swept them, keep sweeping them.
We need to play, just like the Yankees had a problem last year. They never played to their opponent.
Exactly. They can never beat up the bad teams.
No, the Mets need to keep that going, beat up the bad teams, and play to the good teams. If they keep that up, they'll be fine heading into October.
Yeah. Well, exciting stuff this week, though, for the Jets and Giants. We have the NFL draft. That's exciting. As a Jet fan, I gotta say, going to the draft and not having a need a quarterback feels great, but we can't say the same thing for Giants fans. I feel like the spectrum has completely swapped. The Jets have a quarterback of the future, and the Giants, they gotta look for one. So, the scenario is right now for the Giants. They can either stay at 6, take the quarterback they want at 6, or take the next best available player on defense and wait till that 17th pick in the first round and see if one of their guy drops to them.
Right now, I feel like that's the way the Giants are going.
They're going to see if their guy drops?
I think Gesselman is really crazy about a defensive person right now. He wants a defense with that 6th pick.
Imagine Devin White or Brian Burns. Montez Sweat. Oh, you can get Montez Sweat probably later on in the draft.
In the first, but I feel like at this point, everybody knows that they're in love with Haskins, but they don't want to waste that 6th pick.
But they're also high on Jones, too.
Which is a mistake if they choose Jones over Haskins.
Mm-hmm.
But the way it looks like, they want to use that 6th pick on a defensive player, and I think that's the wrong decision for this team going forward. I think you can wait until that 17th pick to get Sweat or get like an Ed Oliver.
Yes.
I feel like he could fall out of the...
Well, they're saying the Jets might take him with the 3rd overall pick, which I want to be upset about. I think they can trade back and get him back in the first round.
Probably trade back with somebody and still get him after the 10th pick. Because I don't think, as much as everybody likes Ed Oliver, I don't see him going in the top 10. Which I probably will be wrong.
And it's funny because going into this season, everyone was saying Ed Oliver was going to be a top 3 pick.
Yeah, and he couldn't even be that with the Jets picking him at 3rd if they don't like any of their trade packages.
But anyway, going back to the Giants, though, you take the position of need in the best player available, but when the best player available isn't the quarterback, which you need, you have to go quarterback, I feel.
Well, I feel like at this point, Gusselman doesn't think quarterback's a need at the position because he still has Eli.
I get that.
Him and Pat Shermer
I get that,
have to deal
but
with Eli still, you know?
How long are you going to make Manning walk out there every game?
Until he says he's done with the game.
But then you're left high and dry with nothing. Why not prepare now? Why not get your guy now when you can? What else are you be picking in the top 10? Or the 6, or as high as 6 overall? And the ability to have 2 first-round picks to trade up within the top 3 and get your guy. How often are you going to be able to do that? They have 2 first-round picks to trade up to get the guy. Even if they don't want to sit at 6, they can move up to 2 or 3 or 4 to get their guy. That's what McCagnon did last year. He said, you know what? I mean, it sucks that Jets don't have a second-round pick this year. They had one last year. But guess what? They got Sam Darnold. And they're sitting pretty. And you know what? It's damn worth it, if you ask me. The Giants need to get their guy. Because if not, they're going to miss out. They're going to suffer for years to come.
Well, I don't possibly say that they need to get a guy this year. You know?
Then when?
Next
when else
year.
are they going to have the ability to trade up?
Well,
with the ammunition
if I see...
They have 12 draft picks in this year's draft. 12.
I get that, but I see them, if they pass up on a quarterback this year, they'll probably be a top 5 pick next year. I don't think Eli's...
But then you're banking on next year. You're banking on next season. You can't bank on next season.
Well, you could pull what the Miami Dolphins are doing. They're banking all on next season. They're tanking this year, and they're not going to do good. Yes, the Giants don't want to tank, but I don't think they're going to be good enough to win. They'll be good enough to win a few games, but I don't see them winning more than 5 games this year.
Do you think that they don't want to take a quarterback this year so much, or so much as willing to reach for one, because they're so sold on the Oregon quarterback coming out next year, or Tua, or Trevor Lawrence?
I think that might be it. I mean, a lot of people are saying that the only good quarterbacks coming out of this year are Murray and Haskins. But wait there, the Cardinals will not even take Haskins now. I've heard it both ways. I've heard the Cardinals are going to pass on him, and then today I think Adam Schefter said that it's almost a guarantee that the Cardinals draft Murray.
All right.
So there's conflicting reports coming out of that Arizona camp. So who knows what happens?
I still don't think they take Murray.
I don't think so.
I think it's more smokescreen.
I think it's more smokescreen.
What's going to happen? Well, let me tell you what's going to happen. What I think is going to happen. The Cardinals are going to look for a trade partner who really wants to move up for a quarterback. And then they're not, because no one's going to be willing to pay that price that they probably want. And they're going to pass on Murray. And then what's going to happen? You're going to have all these teams, the Giants, the Jaguars, the Dolphins, the Broncos, trying to trade up to get him. You don't think the Dolphins will want to get him?
The Dolphins have already said that they're going to wait for next year. If somehow Murray or a quarterback that they want falls down to them at 13, they're going to pass. They're not trading.
Really?
Yes, they want to.
They want the quarterback next year.
They'd rather trade back at 13 and get more draft picks for this year and next year.
Okay, but anyway, if Murray does drop, how can you not, as a Giants, offer up swap your first round picks and then give the other pick in the first round pick as well, part of the package, to get up and get Kyler Murray? He's honestly one of the top quarterbacks coming out this year. Especially when Baker Mayfield, what he did last year, coming out of the same system, the same college.
Yeah.
And Kyler Murray came in and did just as well, if not better. I'm sorry, I'm going to let you finish now. Go ahead.
But I think you're right. The Giants would be stupid not to trade up for him if he falls past the Cardinals. Maybe call the 49ers, see if you can give them both picks and maybe a second-round pick. Or call the Jets, because I know the Jets want to trade back and get a second-round pick this year. Give them.
I would love the Jets to trade back.
Switch 6 and 3 and give them 17 and a second-round pick this year. They have plenty of picks later on in the later rounds.
They got 12 picks in this year's draft. They got a lot of picks.
So trade those 3 picks and get your guy. If Murray's your guy, get him. If he's not your guy and Haskins is not your guy, then I would wait until 17 to get Daniel Jones.
Okay. If you're not sold on them, why invest it? I don't see how you can't.
I'd be furious with the Giants if they pick Daniel Jones and Haskins is still on the board at 17.
I don't think he's that good of a quarterback.
No, I don't think he...
Well, last time you saw a Duke player make a Pro Bowl. You can't. Duke is not known for producing football players. They're known for making basketball players.
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
If you pass on Haskins and he's still there somehow at 17 and nobody's picked him, and you pick Jones over Haskins, I believe the team will be a failure at that point. They should have picked Haskins with the 6th pick, and he falls to you at 17 and you don't pick him. I at this point, if I was a Giants fan, I'd say I've lost all faith in Gesselman.
Yeah, they already did after the Odell Beckham trade. But you know what? I did look into it. I wrote an article about it. In his draft, he's a very good drafter.
Look what
he's drafted Pro Bowls as far back in the 5th or 6th round.
Yeah, look what he did with Carolina. He brought them to
exactly.
Super Bowl.
And you know what? Not once did he have all of his draft picks. He always had less than 7 draft picks, and he was able to do work with that.
He's a good draft-minded GM. He just right now he's not making the right choices. I think that Giants fans want him to. He got rid of their star wide receiver after giving him a max contract.
Yeah.
Why would you trade him? Like he said, we're not here to trade him after we paid him. That makes no sense to me.
Agreed.
But he did get another first-round pick out of it and a safety that he needed after he lost Landon Collins. I like Jabril Peppers. He's a little bit of a disappointment going into Cleveland when they drafted him.
Yeah.
But hopefully he finds his way in New York.
I got something about Jabril Peppers and him. So, as we all know, Shaq Thompson, coming out of college, was a very controversial prospect because he wasn't a true safety, he wasn't a true linebacker, he was that hybrid type.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Gesselman took him, and he's been a starter since he's been drafted. He's been a good safety. He probably saw the same thing in Jabril Peppers, the hybrid type player that's not really a safety, not really a linebacker, that in between, but can do a little bit of both. That's what he probably saw in him, and the value in him. That's why he probably traded for him.
And plus, the Browns didn't really need him. They have safeties that they don't really need.
So, now, the Jets. Do they trade back? Do they take Ed Oliver, Josh Allen, Quinnen Williams? Because I don't think Nick Bosa is going to be on the board. And you know what? If the Cardinals do end up taking Nick Bosa instead of Kyler Murray, what are the 49ers going to do? We're going to see the 49ers possibly trade back and someone's going to take Kyler Murray, which then the Jets can have anyone, really. I just said they're definitely going to get one of those players.
Well, if the Cardinals do trick everybody and pick Bosa up at first, I think the 49ers and the Jets trade back, unless one of them really wants Josh Allen. That's the only way I see one of those.
I like Josh Allen because, to me, I see the Jets needing an edge guy.
They do.
Josh Allen's an edge. To me, Ed Oliver and Quinnen Williams isn't an edge guy, even though they are very disruptive. I'm not sold, really, on taking another defensive lineman. I'd rather take an outside linebacker and a true edge guy.
But I see if the Cardinals do take Bosa, I do see the 49ers taking Allen and him and the Jets missing on them both. I think at that point, the Jets trade back. I don't think they trade back too far out of the
I think you see in the top 10.
The top 10. I think they maybe trade with maybe the Broncos.
QB team who needs
maybe
a quarterback.
The Jaguars. But I don't see the Jaguars really trading up that far.
Well, they got Nick Foles. They feel like they feel confident in his ability.
They do. So I see more like maybe the Broncos or the Redskins possibly trading up.
I would love to trade with the Redskins just because it would really stick the Giants fans for not trading up to get the quarterback.
It would. But then if they trade with the Redskins, they trade out of the top 10. But like we said before,
at 13 they can still take.
I still believe maybe Ed Oliver will be there at 13.
He will. You know what? Maybe Greedy Williams is there.
Greedy Williams, I like him. I like him a lot.
I like the corner. They only got Tremaine Johnson. Outside of that, there's a kind of a talent drop off.
And Greedy Williams, if they can somehow trade back and still get him, that'd be a great pick for them.
There's that other cornerback coming out of Georgia is also a pretty good player. He's another good guy I would like the Jets to get. But yeah. So, anyway, moving on to basketball and playoffs. The Nets, after winning their first game in Philadelphia against the 76ers, are now down the series 3-1. And last game, we saw a brawl erupt, which was pretty exciting. And most of the exciting of the game, because it came down to the last few minutes of the game.
It was exciting, Jared Dudley, he was rallying his team,
Apparently, he was instigating the 76ers. He's been doing that the past couple games.
But you know what? That's what the Nets need to do. They need to fight back at the 76ers. Be physical.
All right, well, enough of this offseason talk. Let's talk about some playoffs. Let's talk about the Brooklyn Nets and how they've been doing the first round of the playoffs against the 76ers. After beating them in the first game by a margin of 20 points, they are now down the series 3-1. And in the last game, which came down to the last final minutes, Jared Dudley and Ben Simmons got ejected after starting a giant fight.
The Nets need to keep playing that. They need to play physically. They need to get into the heads of the 76ers. Everybody loved what he did. And yeah, they're down 3-1, but you know what? It still feels like they have a fighting chance to come back.
It really was exciting. I think the craziest part of the game yesterday was the fact that the GM went to the ref's locker room to complain about the Joel Embiid for the flagrant ones should have been flagrant twos.
Yeah, I mean
he's getting fined $25,000. Still, just what makes you think as a GM you can make a difference by going to the ref's locker room? I just think that they are a big mess right now, the Nets.
I just think... Well, I don't think it's as much as the Nets are a mess. I think the refs need to start calling games better. The NBA's always had... And the players have always had problems with the refs, whether it's regular season or playoffs. They can never see eye to eye. It's been brewing for the last few years. I think it's sooner or later it's going to come to a big halt.
The players going to go on strike?
I believe this
about it because I know it's been a problem.
I believe their CBA is up in either the next 2 or 3 years, maybe even sooner.
Is it that big of a deal that they're going to go on strike and not play about it? I mean, I can see if it's about money or contracts, then yes, they can go on strike. But about refereeing and officiating,
they just want.
I don't think they're going to go that far.
They want the refs to call games better. Maybe get a little bit younger refs in there. They have a lot of older refs playing old style basketball.
It's tough because most of the fouls, they're not very opinion based. Whether how hard you touch them, where you touch them, and also the situation has a big play on it too.
Yes, that's true. But I mean, maybe do what baseball is doing. Have or football
review
with the
challenge,
with the challenges of personal or pass interferences. Maybe you can challenge.
Well, I mean, they already review flagrants and everything like that. They do review, especially out of bounds.
That's true.
They do review those already. Anyway, back to another New York playoff team. The New York Islanders swept the Pittsburgh Penguins. I don't even think Sidney Crosby scored a goal in this series. I really don't. But now I know you're a Cavs fan, and the Cavs are playing the Kings right now. They're up 3-2 in the series.
Well, actually. The Hurricanes have already won their games.
So it's tied 3-3.
It's tied 3-3, forced a Game 7, which, as a Capitals fan, I didn't want to see it to go to Game 7 because whoever comes out of Game 7 is going to be tired. They're going to have to play the Islanders soon.
Well, I want the Kings to win because this way the Islanders get home field advantage.
If you're an Islanders fan...
Home ice advantage.
Yeah, you want the Islanders to play the Hurricanes. They want home ice. Though they're significantly lesser of a team than the Capitals are, even though they'll beat the Capitals, the Islanders will still have the upper hand over the Canes. As the Islander fans, you don't want to see the Capitals.
No, I want to see the Canes. Although I think it'll be bittersweet, really sweet revenge if the Islanders do face Capitals and they do eliminate them
the Capitals,
for the playoffs.
That would be nice for Barry Trotz, playing his old team.
Yep.
And stuff.
Which you don't see that often, though.
You don't.
Championship team firing their coach.
Not really firing, but they parted ways because they couldn't find an agreement on money.
It's always down to the money.
It's always down to the money. Trotz wanted more money. The Capitals weren't willing to.
The Islanders gave him his money, and now in the playoffs. I'm enjoying it every second of it.
Best thing for the Islanders. I'm enjoying it too, seeing Trotz bring this Islanders team to the playoffs. If they can face the Capitals and beat them, that'd be nice.
I'd rather face the Canes, though.
You'd rather face the Canes.
I know, it doesn't matter, what team you face, what seed you face.
It doesn't matter that much, but the Islanders are a better team than the Canes.
Yes, I agree. It's also the Canes' first time making the playoffs in 14 seasons, too.
Yeah. So you want the Islanders to face the Canes.
I want that.
You don't want the Capitals to play Trotz because they'll be playing against their old coach, also trying to prove a point that they don't need him. So,
which they've been doing so far, that first seed.
They are. They're the defending champs, you know, but it's always good to get the lower seed.
Yeah, definitely. All
But
right.
but it was a good series against Pittsburgh.
series.
It
I
was
love
great
it.
to see them sweep Pittsburgh. It was amazing.
All right. Well, that's all we got for you today. Be sure to like, subscribe, click the bell, and comment and tell us what you think about your favorite team and how you think the Islanders are going to do and whether or not the Nets are going to win the next game, and how you think the Yankees end up finishing the season if the Mets actually get their starting pitchers together. So we'll see you next time on the Empire State Sports Report.